Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm your Friday hostess, Natalie, and this week's topic is dealing with people who drain your energy and falling into magical slumps. This is a topic that we've covered before, but I'm going to try to make my material fresh and kind of new. If you're interested in looking back at previous seasons, you may find that video. I encourage you to go and watch those because different hosts have different perspectives, and we've changed a few of the hosts over time. So give it a look-see and see what you think. In terms of dealing with people who drain your energy, there are different types of people that do this. There are some who do it intentionally, and there are some who don't even realize that they're doing it. If you are empathic, and I want to make the statement here that every human being has empathy. It's not the same thing as being empathic. People who are empathic are more keenly attuned to the energies of the people around them and tend to absorb those energies within themselves. And this can have a very negative effect on your health if you are around a lot of negative people. That's why a lot of empathic people tend to be somewhat introverted, or if they're extroverted, they still take time and break away. They're extroverted for a time and then say, you know what, I need some time to recharge. I need to step back and get away from people. And that's very much the way I am. I like to be around people, but it can be very overwhelming for me. I'm not a big fan of huge parties just because all the different emotions and energies and things that are going on, plus like being in the mall. This time of the year, I am never in the mall unless I absolutely have to be because, or if I am in the mall, I'm sitting back on a bench and watching people and I can get up and leave. I'm not in the midst of doing the shopping and dealing with my own energy and dealing with that. People who tend to drain your energy and do it specifically, purposefully, they term psychic vampires. Now, I'm a little on the fence about that specific term because I think it's a little silly, to be honest with you. I understand why they use that term because, you know, vampire being that it sucks the life from its victim, psychic vampires being that they suck your energy or life force basically out of you by preying on your energy. I see where that term comes from. I just think it sounds kind of silly, and I think when you use that term, people look at you like, okay, you're one of those people. But for lack of a better term, I may use it here. These people, once again, may not even realize that they are draining your energy. These are people who are extremely negative, people that are very intense also. Even if they're intensely happy, sometimes can really drain your energy because you're absorbing all of that. So how do you deal with that and how do you protect yourself? I'm going to go back to my old adage and say meditation really does help with that because it gives you a grounding base. Plus, when you are meditating, you can use your visualizations such as putting up a protective wall or barrier around yourself. So when you are getting ready for your day, you know, I always recommend taking at least 5 to 10 minutes to meditate. And by meditation, it could be just, you know, breathing and focusing on your breathing and clearing out that energy space, grounding yourself, seeing roots come down through your head, through your body, down through your legs, through your feet, into the ground, grounding yourself within the earth and releasing any negative and toxic energies that you may be currently feeling. And then take some time to visualize a ring of protection around yourself. I tend to use either a blue or a white light. And I may even make some incantation such as, Lord and Lady, see me through what I need to make it to my blessed day of light and peace. Say it now and give release. Something along those lines. I may change it from day to day depending on what I feel I'm personally needing. But I want to ask for and petition the ability to release those energies that are around me every day. Sometimes I have to take time during the middle of the day to do this because it just gets to be so much, especially when my husband, who tends to be rather intense in his personality, often very negative, and I think it's become a force of habit with him. I don't think he can help it. And being empathic and living with somebody who is like that, it's very draining. And I have to find a way to be more positive to try to balance his negativity within the household for the children. Now, another way that I work to deal with negative energies around me and to release some of that is I keep a medicine wheel in my house. For those of you that are not familiar with that, it's a Native American tool. It's usually round and has a cross in the center. Sometimes there's feathers associated with it. The one I have, I bought in New Mexico, and it has beads and feathers, and it hangs above my front door. I also will use protective candles such as the Pentacle of Saturn, things like that, and I will burn those within my home. Sage is always a good way to clear out your personal space. You can also get, you can make a sage oil and anoint yourself with the sage oil before you go out to keep those cleansing energies around you and to kind of put up a little bit of barrier for anything that may be coming at you more than you can handle. If you find that being around someone is so draining that you just can't be around them, don't be around them. I mean, I know that sounds kind of basic, but it's a fact. Sometimes I have to separate myself from my husband. I will go to my office just to get away from him because I just can't handle it. The problem with that is he tends to call. Cell phones are a double-edged sword. So find some time to get away from everything that's going on around you. Put up some barriers and protection. I recommend that you get The Witch's Shield by Christopher Penchik. It's an excellent book that's got some great ideas for how to shield yourself against any kind of negative bombardment that people may be sending to you. And especially if you're very sensitive to the energies of people around you, both good and bad, this may be a good way to deal with it. There are also some excellent videos that offer great strategies as well, besides the ones that I've offered here. So you might look for Diving Deep. He calls himself Diving Deep. His name is Ralph, and he is absolutely fantastic. Infinite Waters, Diving Deep, Infinite Waters. Look him up on YouTube. He has got some wonderful videos on this very topic here. So again, I would say ground yourself with meditation. Build a barrier spiritually around yourself. Use the energies of sage and other protective things such as dragon's blood. Make a dragon's blood sage oil. Add some rosemary and some frankincense. Things that will help. Make yourself an oil out of this and anoint yourself with that oil on a day-to-day basis to keep those energies going around you at all times. You can carry a small vial of it with you perhaps. Well, it might be kind of dangerous if it's a glass vial, but you can. Plastic vials, I don't like putting oils into plastic, and you have to be careful when making oils because, as I talked about in the Making Magical Oils video this week, this season, you have to be careful how the oils interact. But usually frankincense holds pretty well because it's a resin. Same thing with dragon's blood. Rosemary tends to be rather robust as well, and sage I have found holds pretty well in oil over time. So those are things I like to put into an oil and make myself an oil. You can crush it up or you can just leave it whole and put it into the oil and allow those energies to absorb. I like to crush it a little bit, at least 9 times Jeshel, so that I know that it's kind of grounded. I'm releasing those energies, and then I'll add it to the oil and I'll shake it. You want to make sure you shake it every day. And then I will anoint myself with that, and especially if I'm going to be around any kind of like big gathering or anything, so like holiday times when we have a lot of guests and family coming in, I'll anoint myself with this oil and see my barrier around me because, you know, it's a mix of energies. You got positive and negative, and it's a bombardment. And you know what they say, family, the ties that bind. And gag. Thank you, Irma Bombeck. If you haven't read that book, by the way, please go and read it. Irma Bombeck has left us many years ago, but that book is a classic. And it is called Family, the Ties That Bind and Gag. And it's so true, as so many of us know. So anytime that you're going to do that, you want to prepare yourself. Give yourself some time and space, and don't be afraid to make an excuse to step away, to take some time for yourself. Even if it's just getting to the bathroom and sitting down and going, you have to release. Breathing is very healing. It brings a lot of oxygen into the blood, it heals the blood, it opens the channels in the brain, and allows you to relax and release that energy. So just breathe in and then breathe out and see all that tension leaving you. I also recommend clearing your chakras frequently. There's plenty of meditation videos on this too. You can get some books on it. But clearing your chakra system will help protect you against anything that might be building up in any of your chakra systems from being around that. Because if you get too much energy within a certain chakra system, it's going to start to make you physically sick. And so you want to make sure that you're cleaning that a lot, because a lot of times we tend to store those negative energies. I tend to store a lot of it here in my solar plexus. This is where I absorb it, this is where it goes, and this is where I hold on to it. That was my dog sneezing. bless you, Bo. So, again, to review, meditation, grounding, healing oils, building a barrier, clearing your chakras. Those are the 5 things that I do to deal with the negative energies that are around me. Getting away from that negative person and giving myself some actual physical space is my 6th way of dealing with that kind of thing. And if necessary, I will cut somebody completely out. I have done that. I barely speak to my parents at all because the negativity that I associate with my family and the fact that they just don't talk to me really does do a number on my system, and so I have just sliced off that arm and said to heck with it, it's gangrenous and it's gone. So don't be afraid to do that. Writing is also a good way to release any of that negative energy that you absorb and write out, you know, I am hereby protecting myself, I am clearing this energy, I am building a barrier, these energies will not reach me, and I am free. It really does help. So I hope that these strategies are helpful to you guys. I appreciate you watching. I know you've gotten plenty of good tips later in this week, so I'll keep my videos short. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a very blessed Yule and a Merry Christmas. Thank you.